Hey everybody, this is Grace. This video I'm going to talk about when a person has what some would label as narcissistic high sense of entitlement. I know it confuses somebody. What does that mean, entitlement? I have also understand that some people who have that narcissistic high sense of entitlement, they will use it against somebody else, and they kind of change like what it means. But they'll try to use that against somebody else when they are the people who have it. Now, there's so many ways to describe this, so many situations, so many examples I could give, to describe it all around. And one of them would be when, let me set up a scene here. Like somebody goes to get a job. Okay, they want to get a job. And they get a job, say as a cashier, or say in some kind of store, and they've heard, they've been around, they've checked other places and heard how much the other places pay for the same similar kind of job, and so they know this one they interview for, it pays more, and so they accept it. Now they're new, they haven't done this kind of job before, and they're new to it, and they were told that they would be trained for it and all that. Well, now after all the training, and say at their 90-day mark, they're expecting a raise. Okay, first of all, they're expecting it. That's an entitlement kind of issue, that they're expecting it. Now, if they were told that it happens, that they have a review at 90 days, and they would get everybody gets a raise somehow. They don't say how much. Okay, unless there's a problem. Okay, now they could say you do, or they could say there's a problem. Now, to expect it then, when they they were saying that you would be getting one, that's not really an entitlement. Because let's just say that they say that everybody gets a raise at that point. Okay, 90 days. That's not an entitlement if you're expecting a raise. Now, what is an entitlement, and this is my view, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I'm a social and behavioral scientist. And what would be wrong is to think that you decide how much of a raise you should get. That person, I'm saying you, I don't mean you, of course, it's just a way of making it brief, usually. But say, you think, or this person thinks that they make up their own mind how much they deserve. Now, I'm a social and behavioral scientist. I'm usually more for the underdog, but in this kind of situation, because of the other issue where it could be narcissistic. They have a okay, I paused there because that truck was making way too much noise. But real life happens in the middle of a video. But somebody who thinks that that they're going to make up their own minds, and the boss needs to just go along with them. Now they've had training, and they've passed. Here they are, they're 90 days, and they are going to tell the boss how much they think they deserve. That's not how it works in the real world. I've never known it to work that way. No, the boss makes the determination. The boss or the manager, or whichever one it is, they do the evaluation of your work. How well are you doing? How are you? Are you bad, or are you good, or what? And how much do you deserve? Now, there can be some negotiation, sure. You can also negotiate yourself out of a job. All right. Now, they might, I guess some would call it lowball or something. But still, I remember when a raise was sometimes like 10 cents an hour. Okay. But I am 58 years old. Anyway, but some would say, I don't know how much it is now for like somebody does that. What would be appropriate raise, at 90 days. But the people who have a sense of entitlement might, think that, like I said, they make their decision. They know their worth as they see it. Not as the boss sees it or the co-worker sees it, but as they personally see it. And what they, like I said, what they deserve, and then what is their worth? How good are they? Okay, so say they get a review and it's not anywhere near what they thought it would be. the raise. And they get angry, throw a temper tantrum like a really bad child. Not all children throw temper tantrums. And they start demanding. Well, they're put on notice. Do it again, you're out of a job. Okay. That's not how the real world works. To many. I mean, there may be a few out there somewhere, but I'd say to many, if not most, employers are not going to take that. So, then it comes up again. What would it be the next time they give a raise these days, or they give an evaluation and then potentially a raise? Whatever that time is. It comes back around to that, and the person still has the same attitude about themselves. That they make up their mind what they want to earn and what the employer must pay to keep them. By this time, they're more than arrogant about it. They're even more arrogant. They believe they have all this, say it's not even a year. It maybe was a year from the time they started working there. And they have all this experience under their belt. And they feel like that. And they feel that even though it was the place in themselves that were training them, but they have the experience, so therefore they deserve this, X amount of a raise. Still doesn't work that. I've never known it to. In the real world. In their minds it works that way, but not in the real world. Like I said, there can be there might be some negotiation, some employers would get offended, and, so forth. But the person does the same thing again. Okay, allergies. Man, I'm telling you. Anyway, so they throw this, this temper tantrum again, and the boss doesn't even say strike three. The boss says, you're out. Okay. Now, the boss may have been hearing things from other, employees that this person was trying to, do whatever. This person was very arrogant, very, would just do all kinds of bad things, okay? Very, like they are the center of everybody's attention. They must have everything their way. Everybody must glorify them. Everybody must think they're the best thing in the world. And like I just said, glorify them. Best thing in all this. And the manager had heard enough. Okay, there's no strike three. That was, you could call that the second strike. So they're out. They're out of a job. And this person gets angry, goes out and tries to start a movement or something toward that company, or tries to make videos and says that company is awful and they do all this and they do all that, and try to get other people involved, you see? Because they cannot see that they were wrong. They will not see that they think that they are entitled to whatever they think that they should get. It's all they, them, I, me. They believe that's how it's supposed to work. And they'll go as far as they can, legally. Narcissistic people, I don't think they do too much that would be considered as illegal, maybe socially illegal. But maybe some of them do. It's not one size fits all. But really, they throw temper tantrums. Some of them. Like I said, it's not one size fits all in any of this, in any of my videos. But they will throw temper tantrums. They are entitled. They feel that they're entitled to this. They're entitled to that. And there are other examples, like people who already, like the same kind of situations, maybe not in a store, they don't work inside something. They more work independently. And, but they still believe that they run the show. They're independent. And if they want them, then they better, this company or whatever, that they better give them what they want. That's not how the real world works. Then they try to gather up lots of other people with this kind of narcissism, this kind of, narcissistic behavior, not a diagnosed. But they try to get more and more, and they get them in the spirit, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And I'm not talking about people who really are being used, people really who are not making enough. I'm not talking really about the underdog, just the people who should not, that just really have that narcissistic behavior, that narcissistic belief that they deserve whatever they think that they should get. Okay? There's a difference there. There's a difference between what they are worth or actually worth versus what they think they're worth. And their view is much, much higher. Like some would even try to go as far as 3 to 4 times the norm. And they expect to be paid that because they feel like they are so wonderful. Or they might even make excuses in their own head. They just simply feel that way. That is it. End of story. To them. That's it. Okay. Now, I have noticed this to be more and more of an issue. I have a channel that I do mainly this type of topic. People who have these kinds of toxic behaviors, toxic people, toxic behaviors, but narcissistic, histrionic. Usually what I have seen in my life is a blend of narcissistic and histrionic behaviors and the people who are bad. Now, not everybody's bad, okay? But the ones that they do really stick out. And, they are the ones that tend to cause the most problems. The ones that are more histrionic, what I have noticed in my life is they're like the adult, mean girls. And they're not always female either. They're the drama queens, the ones who do the smear campaign behind people's backs, the slackers. A combination, or all of them, all of those behaviors, and then some. And they think they want it to be the center of attention. Doesn't matter if it's negative or positive attention. They don't care. They have to be the center of that attention, and they will go to some extremes, okay, to get it. And I'm seeing a lot more of that too. And you can see that online, okay? You can see it offline. My experiences were offline, in face-to-face world, as some call it. Some call it IRL, but it's all IRL. It's part of your life. But I've seen this, and I think this is one of the movements more these days. Is that people, what I'm seeing, is that people think that they determine. We all should know what we're worth, but these are ones, like I said, to an extreme. They're extremely arrogant and think that they deserve even more. Okay, there are middle grounds. There are extremes where people don't think enough about themselves, and then there's the extreme that people do think too much of themselves. There are other in between here. It's not all or none. It's not one extreme or the other. They're in between. But some people will do this to rile people up because they feel that way about themselves. They don't really care about the other ones. But some would say that some of them are, and they call it collective. It could be called collective narcissism, group narcissism. Either way. And I'm a social and behavioral scientist. I taught at college and university. And yes, this would be an example. Okay, these kinds of things but some of them, they just get people riled up. It gets them, they might not even be doing the job. They're just going to talk about that job. And they do it so that they'll get popular, with the people who are thinking that they deserve much more, or they just want much more. And they think, hey, if I get along with this, get on with this movement, then I too would benefit from it. Okay, they're not the extreme. They think that they deserve it. They just want it. Okay. Difference. Maybe a little bit. But yeah. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. There's too much activity all of a sudden around here. And but I just wanted to do this part. I do have a character. I write little it's basically a series. I have many characters in it. And one of them is Tabitha, and she owns a I'll save it. I made one already, and I lost it. I don't know what happened to it, how it got deleted, whatever. But anyway, I'll give an example. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.